Hi guys. So I'm in the middle of trying to reorganize my craft room. I say trying because it's a job. That's all I'll say. The thing is, I have a limited space. I use half a room in the house, and well, I've got a lot of stuff. Not as much as some other crafters, believe me, but for the room that I'm in, I have a lot of stuff. I think a lot of the bulk, it comes from all the books that I have. I have a lot of old books and things like that I just can't resist buying. So they're always kind of mounting up. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to get sorted was my stamps. And when I first started crafting, I thought that, oh, I'll never have enough stamps to warrant buying any of these systems or yada yada yada. It'll be fine, I'll just put them in a box. Well, that didn't work out very well. It did, for a while it was fine. But then I discovered Wish and Zoom and AliExpress. I don't buy from AliExpress simply because of the whole PayPal thing. But anyway, so yeah, I ended up with more stamps than I thought I would. Still not an awful lot of stamps. I mean, it was a box about yay big and about that high. But it was just, they were all just piled in there. So they needed sorting. Every time I wanted to find a stamp, I had to pull all the stamps out of the box and try and get them back in. So I needed to come up with a stamp storage system that suited me. And that's the caveat, one that suited me. I could have gone and bought all the stamp systems and all the rest of it, but to be honest, my budget is very limited. And I would prefer to buy materials rather than storage. So I decided I'd come up with something by myself. Now, there are quite a few videos on YouTube dealing with stamp storage or what have you. I watched one or two, and you know, if a lot of them are made by American girlies, and I don't have access to a lot of the stuff. Well, I do, I have access to it, but it costs an awful lot more money over here, or to get it here, than it does in the States. So I decided to try and see if I could work with what I had. Now, I had Polly Pockets, which I considered trying to do something with putting cards in there and mounting them somehow on it, but I figured that putting stamps in and out of the Polly Pockets, it just wouldn't work for me. It just wouldn't. It would annoy me, and I'd end up just throwing them back in and not putting them back in properly. So that was out. So I had this folder. I forgot to bring it down. 1 second, I'll get it for you. This kind of folder thing that I bought in Aldi because it was relatively cheap, and I thought it might be useful. And what it is it was a folder with magnetic sheets inside in the pockets. So now at the moment, as you can see, I'm storing stamps in here in the same way that I'm doing them in the other one, and I'll show you what that's about in a minute. Because I had already mounted on the wall a magnetic board for my dies, so that's what I use for those. So I had that, but that kind of gave me the idea of I was going to try to use that for my stamps, and I decided that wouldn't work again because of the pockets. So I was looking at it and I was thinking, well, maybe if I could just get the sheets that my stamps are on, like this actually came from a stamp set, this one, punch 2 holes and put them into the folder. Yeah, that might work. And then I realised that a lot of these were too big for that folder, and I wouldn't get an awful lot of them in there. So I had to come up with something else again. So I decided I needed some acetate sheets, same as what you get your stamps on in the first place, but I needed them to be bigger. Now, buying acetate here, it's not the easiest in the first place, but it's not very cost effective either. It's quite expensive. Now maybe if I shopped further afield and checked around I might get it cheap, but I decided to work with what I had. And what I had was laminating pockets. I had 2 packets of A4 pockets that I don't use a whole lot. I use them every now and again, but I don't use an awful lot of them. So I decided I would try to use those, and I am going to show you today what I did, how it works, and it might be useful to some of you out there. So here I have 2 folders full of stamps, and you saw the one that I just pulled down there with my Christmas stamps in it. That was all just Christmas stamps in that green one. So here we have one of the folders that I did. Now, as you can see, I have full A4 acetate sheets with stamps stuck to them. And what I have in the front is like an index, so that I don't have to be going over and back with these sheets all the time. I have an index here. The stamps here are printed in the same position that they're on the pages here. So I can go through these, know exactly which page has the stamp and what position the stamp is in. So if I'm looking for this one, well actually these are my block stamps. That's just a catalogue of my block stamps I kept in a box. But if I was looking for this one here, I'd know I need to go to the first page, and it was smack bang in the middle, and there's that stamp. So that's how it essentially works. On each of these acetate sheets I have also, let's see if I can show you this, printed or stamped each image so that I know exactly where each stamp is supposed to go. If I take out a good few stamps, I'll know where they go back to. Or if I see that there's a space on the page, I'll know what stamp is missing from there. So that is that. What are we doing here? So I'm going to go ahead and go through making one sheet. I mean, it is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go through how I made them anyway. And yeah, we'll see how we get on, and it might be helpful to some of you. So I took the liberty of going ahead and running my laminating sheet through the laminator. It's just a plain A4 sheet, nothing inside, nothing. I just put it through the laminator and it sticks to itself and makes basically an acetate sheet, right? I take my cards that I'm going to be using for my catalogue piece. I just line them up so that I can punch the holes together. Really just kind of takes one little step out of it. So I have the 2 of those there. Next I'm going to need a set of stamps. And I think this is pretty much the only one that I have that's not catalogued already. It's quite a large set. Now will I get all of these onto an A4 sheet? I probably will, although they are kind of spaced close enough together here anyway, but we'll see. And the other thing I need is my Tim Holtz stamp platform, which I love. So I normally start with stamping on the acetate sheet, and there's a reason for that I'll explain shortly. Now I managed to crack my magnets on my stamp platform, which in one way is nice. It gives me 4 magnets now, but they're kind of sharp, to be honest. So I'm just going to slip my acetate sheet in here, facing up, facing the way I want it to be facing me when I'm looking through the book, the folder. I'm going to put my magnets on. Open the stamp set. This is a winter stamp set, but there's a lot of there are a lot of stamps in here that can be used all year round. I mean, there's really only 1 or 2 that I would consider not usable all year round. 3, maybe 4. But the rest of them can be used anytime. And it's actually missing a stamp. I don't know where that one has gone to. I have a duplicate of that stamp. Oh, here it is. Stuck to the sheet, stuck to the table. That's another thing as well, actually, with this system. Your stamps have to be clean and they have to be still able to stick. And that's very easy to do. I'll do it with this one for you. I just take, this is actually a wet wipe that's dried out, but even a piece of tissue will do, or a cloth. Just some water. Clean it down. Now you can really scrub these. You can put these into a sink with warm water and dish soap and things and give them a really good clean, and that probably would work better even than this. But for the purposes of the video, I'll just do it this way. So we're just going to clean this down. And what this does, it just takes any dust and things off of the polymer. And you let it dry by itself, because drying it, if you go to dry it with some sort of a cloth or something, you're depositing more lint and more dust back onto it. So let it dry naturally. And it will be sticky again. That's the plan anyway. So we'll start laying out our stamps onto our sheet. And I'm putting them face down, stamp side down, so that I'll be able to pick them up with my stamp platform lid. These aren't going to go on in the same layout as what's in here. They'll go on pretty okay, but not the very same. So let me just get this all laid out. Okay, so we have our stamps laid out, or at least one half of them. For the second half, I'll turn the acetate sheet up the other way and put them in and finish it that way. And say hello to Smudge. He's my little crafting helper. And he likes to have all my attention all of the time, so when I'm doing something else, he'll come and get in my face. Yes, baby. So I'm going to push this one down a little bit. It's just getting slightly in the way. So you can rearrange them afterwards as well, as long as you've nothing else on the sheet that might be obstructed. You can kind of rearrange them when they're on the lid as well. So next step, because we're using the acetate first, I'm just going to put this bubba down here. Because we're using the acetate first, you need some Stays-On ink, or at least any ink that won't rub off of the acetate, and Stays-On is kind of the go-to for that. Now, my Stays-On is very, very dry, and if you have a juicier Stays-On, you'll get better results with this. But for my purposes, it doesn't actually matter if they don't stamp properly. I just want to have some idea of what stamp should be where. So I'm just going to ink it up. Now this is very, very dry and very sticky, so I'm going to do half and half. You can do a full sheet, obviously, if you have a proper Stays-On juicy ink pad. So I'm just going to pop it in here and stamp it down. Okay, so we have the bottom half of this done. Now what I'm going to do, before I take these stamps off of the lid, I'm going to take my sheet of card and I'm going to put that in right side up. You can take the acetate out for this part if you would like. I'm going to get that in there. Now, and this is the reason I wanted to do the acetate first. When I'm stamping on the card, I don't bother using the Stays-On. I use my Memento ink, just any ink will do, but a dye ink as opposed to the Stays-On or an archival or whatever. And the reason I do this is simply because I find that after stamping with this dye ink, now this is just my finding, I don't know, I'm not an expert, I don't know if it's just this Memento ink, if it's any dye ink, or if it's any other ink other than Stays-On, but I find that it's easier to clean my stamps from the stains of the Stays-On after I've used another ink. Would it work if I let the Stays-On there to cure? I don't know, but I usually clean them straight away. So now So we're going to stamp that. So all these stamps are going to be in the exact same place on this sheet as they are on the acetate sheet. So I will know where to go looking when I need it. Beautiful. There's some really lovely stamps in this actually. Those that rabbit looks more like a rabbit than a hare, I have to say, but it's a particularly nice stamp. Just missed the top of that owl's head, and I like to have these ones good because I can. There's something very pleasing about a nicely stamped image. I missed quite a bit. I missed quite a few spots there. Oh, I am so very sorry. Making you all seasick. Normally I wouldn't have to stamp this hard on the stamp platform. It's just because I'm standing up, I'm not watching what I'm doing properly with it, I have to say. Another thing that I found as well is that I have a lot of stamps from Wish. No, I don't try to go on there and buy designer stamps. I find stamp sets that I like. I don't know if they belong to somebody else or not. If I do know and I have spotted some that I know like are Tim Holtz or something like that, I tend to stay away from them. But I find that the quality of the stamps from there, well, it's not fantastic. I mean, you're paying a lot less money and you get what you pay for. They do the job that I want them to do, and if I'm aware that there's like a gap or something in it, I can just compensate for that. But just to be aware of that, if you do have stamps from Wish or AliExpress or Joom or any of those, it will certainly make it harder on this part. This side, I might get away with it. Okay, so that's that finished. Now, I am going to clean my stamps a little bit. Now, this is just the wet tissue that I used a minute ago to clean the back of the other one. And I'm just going to give it a bit of a scrub. I scrub the solid stamps more because they tend to stain more. Now, that one was already stained anyway. The line stamps I'm not so worried about. But I do like to clean them after using a dye ink, simply because if I go to stamp a different colour with them, that dye ink will reactivate if it's another water-based ink. So I do try to get as much of that off as possible. I'm not overly OCD about it or anything, but I do like to respect my tools as much as I can. Rub all around those. Done. So we take these off. I'm just going to leave them in a pile here on the side of the acetate that they came off of. And I'm going to put them flat side down so they're not collecting any dust or debris. And I am going to do the exact same thing on the bottom half of this acetate sheet. I'm going to get the rest of my stamps laid out on it. And here is the one that we cleaned. Should be a bit stickier now. Which side is that? Stamp side down. Okay, Okay, so that's that part done. And just to show you, on this was a stamp that had been clean. It had been used, but it was clean. And I used the StazOn on it, and then I used the Memento ink, and it came out fairly clean again with just a quick rub. So for me, it just works better in my eyes. Now maybe StazOn isn't as hard to clean off when it's not sticky like mine, but mine is sticky. So okay, so we're taking off our stamps from here. And we are done with our stamp platform, so we can put this away. Now you can see that I didn't get perfect prints on these either. Again, totally fine with that. Like this one is overlapping here as well. This is just for reference, so it doesn't really matter. So we bring back our acetate sheet. Now it might be helpful for you to put it on a plain sheet of paper like this, and all we do is match the pictures, get all our stamps on there in the right place, and of course you will be able to see them better than mine because hopefully yours StazOn is a bit juicier than mine. So we just match them all up until we have them all on there. Okay, so we have all our stamps on our sheet. Nothing falling off, yay! We have our holes punched already. And this stamp is getting a little in the way of that hole, so I'm just going to move it slightly. No biggie. And we have our reference card. So, as you can see, I have 2 folders full, and on the front of this folder, this was the original folder that I did, thinking that it would be big enough. Bigger fool me. But anyway, I have a little pouch. I made a little pouch to go on the inside of this, and the reason I have that there is because I decided that I would keep these pieces just in case the system didn't work out for me, that I'd have the pieces to put the stamps back onto them again. Now that's actually a bit too big to put in there, so I'll put it in the back of the other folder where these stamps are going. But just something you might want to think about yourself, keeping the acetate sheets, because actually if the stamp system does work out, and it does seem to be, I've been using it for a little while and it seems to be suiting so far anyway. I was thinking, normally I'd throw these away, but I realised you could probably cut out the images and use them in your crafting. So yeah, I mean, they're really nice images. They're nice and crisp. They can be cleaned if it's dirty. I think they'd make great little pieces. So I'm going to hold on to those. So that's that folder, and we're putting it into the second folder. I didn't have another one of those big folders, so I'm using a smaller one. Now I did a silly thing and put this face down on the on the glass mat, so the stamps are sticking to the glass. But anyway, here we go. So we open to the front of our folder. Now normally what I would do is put this in the very front, and then I would just flip to the first of these and put it in there. But these are my block stamps. I just have this sheet in here, and the block stamps are stored in this box. I don't have a whole lot of them. I have a few, but not a whole lot. So they just get stored in that box. So this sheet is essentially not part of the folder. So I'm putting it in the second slot, which should be the first. And then I'll flip to my first page of stamps, and I'll put my new sheet in there. So that's that. Now I can just look through my stamp sheets like this find something that I'm looking for, or look for something that I might want to use, and then go directly to that page. So I know that this page is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets from the back, the 5th sheet from the back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. So it's not just a way to store them, it's also kind of a catalogue as well. I mean, you could theme your stamps on all your pages. I considered different ways to arrange them and all the rest of it, but in the end I just went with the sets as they were, simply because, number one, I have kind of a good memory for what's in each set. Not a good memory, but I'm just familiar with my sets. I know what's in each set. And number two, I honestly didn't have the space or the time to lay out all the stamps and group them into collections. So I just did it this way for me. Going forward, will I change it? Possibly. At the moment, it suits. So guys, that is my stamp system. That's what I came up with for myself. Not the only way, probably not the best way, but my way. Let me know how you guys store your stamps. I am always looking for new ideas for storage because I am limited in my space, and I'm one of those people who, if it's not easily accessible and easy to put away, it'll just end up either not being used or just cluttering up my desk again, which I really need to avoid because I can't work on a cluttered desk. So do let me know if you have your own stamp systems that work for you, and if you know of any way that I might improve this, or if there's a better way of doing this particular kind of system, by all means let me know in the comments. And I shall be back to you soon. I do have another video on organising other stuff coming up. It'll be 2 or 3 videos down the line maybe. And that's a good one as well. Yeah, so I'll see you soon. Okay, thanks for watching guys. Bye.